Okay, I wanted to do this one from Bobby Ann Flower Cox via the Brownstone Institute using Zero Hedge's clean interface. So this will make your blood boil. Biden admin goes full Orwell denying vax mandates ever happen. This is just great. So it's going to be fun. Here we go. If you have not yet read the book 1984 by George Orwell, you absolutely must. I'll add on top of that, read Brave New World and Fahrenheit 451 as well. I loathed that novel when I read it as a teen because I hated the entire idea of an authoritarian government controlling its people so deftly. The dystopian world it described was just so depressing, so wrong from the first page to the last. And yet here we are, almost 75 years after Orwell first penned the book, and we see how the hellish science fiction novel is playing out before us. And in reality, our world is a mixture between the world of Oceania from Brave New World and the technocratic dictatorship of Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Even after left-leaning Wikipedia describes the book as a cautionary tale whose theme centers on the consequences of totalitarianism, mass surveillance, and repressive regimentation of people and behaviors within society, molded on the authoritarian states of Stalin's Soviet Union and that of Nazi Germany, the book takes a deep dive into the role of truth within a society and the ways in which truth and facts can be manipulated by the government control of the population. What you saw and heard with your own eyes and your own ears, the government denied and demanded you cast it aside and not believe it. Quote, the party told you what to reject the evidence of your eyes and your ears. It was their final, most essential command. Through the Ministry of Truth, the government, referred to in the books as Big Brother or the Party, engages in endless propaganda, intense surveillance, and the open and obvious negating of historical fact, individual thought, and questioning of authority led to the immediate persecution. Why deny facts and rewrite history? Well, as Orwell says in his book, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past. Now let's go fast forward to the present day. I will begin with this profound statement that keeps churning over in my head. They must really think we're foolish. The they is our government, federal and state. The we is you and me and the other 300 million Americans across our country. Alas, here we are entering the final corner of 2023, and we have the United States government and many state governments, including New York's former Governor Andrew Cuomo, current left-wing Governor Kathy Hochul, and the supermajority Dem legislature proclaiming for all to hear that they did not enforce anyone to do anything detrimental these past 3.5 years. Unbelievable. Did you hear that? They are actually saying with a straight faces that they didn't force you to wear a mask or lock down or shutter your businesses or choose between taking an experimental drug and losing your job. Nope, they did none of that. And you are flat out crazy if you think they did. You are lying. You are exaggerating and totally overreacting. Unfortunately for Big Brother, unfortunately for our 100% reliable, doesn't lie to us government, we have actual documents including lawsuits, news stories, social media posts, and video of the government at all levels mandating and forcing us to do all of these things and more. Here's just one example of Biden himself, the big guy, mandating the corona shots. Let's real quick. With COVID that's 2.5 minutes. I don't want to. Everybody knows he did it. Biden is not alone. No. His entire administration is right there with him. His head of OSHA, Douglas Parker, is now lying through his teeth about the OSHA mandate that required, not suggested, that all employers in the entire nation with 100 or more employees force their employees to get the shot. Otherwise, they had to wear a mask and test constantly for corona. The OSHA mandate was struck down by SCOTUS last year because it was unconstitutional, by the way. Then there's the head of HHS, Xavier Becerra, saying that there wasn't ever a mask mandate. What? Another blatant lie. Please take 2 minutes to watch this Congressman Kevin Kiley clip. You truly won't believe your ears with the BS that these Biden agency heads are spewing. As Congressman Kiley says in the video, the government is trying to tell us that 2 + 2 doesn't equal 4. You don't get much more Orwellian than that. Let's see.
What was President Biden and OSHA's plan if 84 million Americans refused to comply with the vaccine mandate or show their papers?
That's categorically untrue. We didn't threaten anyone, and we didn't demand that anyone be fired.
Did forcing 2-year-olds to wear masks save lives?
And who did the forcing?
Well, your department, or the Head Start, which is under your department, had a mask mandate until late last year for 2-year-olds and above, even outdoors. So can you point to any public health benefit of that policy?
Right. We never forced anyone to do anything because we don't have the jurisdiction or authority to do that.
Did you encourage states to adopt student vaccine mandates? Yes
I did not encourage states to adopt student vaccine mandates. where states
Okay, so that's breaking up a little bit, but you get the idea. That's hilarious. Just O'Brien would be proud of these people. He would be absolutely proud. All right. Why are they backpedaling now? Easy answers. One, they didn't have the authority to do any of it at all. All of it was unconstitutional, so they can't justify and defend it now. And two, if they can convince you they didn't do it before, then you won't mind as much when they do it again. This should make your blood boil. It's particularly infuriating to those of us who were speaking out from basically day one, trying to tell people that the lockdowns, the masking, the shots, the limited number of people at your wedding or at your Thanksgiving table were all violations of the Constitution and our basic human rights. My colleague Jeffrey Tucker, who was the founder and president of the Brownstone Institute, where I am a fellow, wrote an article the other day on this topic. At the end of it, he concluded, quote, the major media is tacitly conspiring with the political establishment, the corporate sector, and the administrative state to pretend like the fiasco was completely normal and entirely forgettable, not even worth naming. We did the best we could with the information we had, so just stop complaining about it. This is not a good going to work. It is too close to living memory for this level of gaslighting to be effective. The more these official institutions engage in this crazy form of denialism, the more they discredit themselves. Bobby Ann, a 2023 Brownstone Fellow, is an attorney with 25 years of experience in the private sector who continues to practice law, but also lectures in the field, in her field of expertise, government overreach, and improper regulation and assessment. So just, from the top of my head, the first thing that comes to mind is, remember, at no time during the 15 days to flatten the curve did they ever once mention to you, hey, eat healthy food, drink only water, exercise, consume zinc with copper or magnesium so that it gets into your cells, because that will help you stay safe against a virus. Zinc inside of your cells inhibits viruses, especially enveloped viruses, which the coronavirus is, and you need copper or magnesium in order to get that chemical into your bloodstream. It won't go on. You can't just take zinc by itself. It needs to have something to bond with. They didn't tell you that. They didn't tell you to, make sure and exercise, which builds your immune system and makes you stronger, more resilient. They didn't tell you drink only water. Water is the most important thing in your body. If you're drinking things that are other than water, it's harming you. Whatever it is, it's harming you. You need to only consume water, and water that doesn't have as many chemicals in it as we put in it. Most of the water from our municipal water supplies is heavily tainted, so you need something like a zero water filter or some other, like an Alexa Pure, something that will remove those heavy elements, especially the soft metals from there. That will help you out considerably. Eating healthy food, all of the seed oils that are in our food, the chemical preservatives and things like that, those are having a detrimental effect. You can see this whenever you go. If you go to Europe, you can look at the ingredients in a European product and compare them to the American. The European is far more healthy, has far fewer chemicals, and the biggest thing, no high fructose corn syrup. People come over from all over the world. They come over to America. They eat the exact same food that they ate when they were in Europe or wherever they're from, and they gain weight. And then as soon as they leave, they lose the weight. And Americans see the same pattern. When we go overseas and consume the food from other countries, we start losing weight. And then we get back here, we become unhealthy. It's because the food we're eating is highly toxic. So did they ever tell you, hey, eat healthy food, drink water? No, they said, wear a mask, even though they don't do anything. And unless you're perfect with the mask, think about it. You touch it with your hands. Your hands are contaminated. So whatever's on your hands is now on the mask, which you're going to breathe in. Did they ever tell you to put on goggles? No, not once did they say put on goggles. The virus can get into your eyes. What's the average distance that particulates travel when you cough? About 30 feet. They told you to stand just 2 Shapiro's distance apart, and somehow that was going to magically keep you safe. This was all about control. That's all it was ever about, was just give us control, give us power, and it worked. It worked extremely well. They got us terrified of a cold virus. They had us inside of our homes over the summertime, wearing masks over the summertime when it didn't even make logical sense, when a virus isn't even going to live. But hey, let's pretend like this is a good idea, all for the sake of control and power. And remember, they made you skip your Thanksgiving, your Christmas celebrations with your family. If you had funerals, they made you miss them. Also, they could go and still, remember, Newsom, Pelosi, all the major Democrats, they all went out. They lived their lives. It's just you that had to suffer. Don't ever forgive them.